Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unconventional GMs. This is the channel where we play lots of different games with vim vigor in about 2 hours or less. And we also have lots of different people who come on from time to time. So you'll have a rotating cast of games, players, everything. Short, sharp, brilliant games. It's going to be another one of those tonight. Tonight we're playing Dragonbane, which is an old game. It's the old Swedish D&D from the 80s, which has been revised and reinvigorated by Free League, and it's now out as a dandy box set, like the good old days, where you get lots of stuff in, like dice and standees and an adventure book and all kinds of things. So that's well worth checking out. And what's also worth checking out is the rest of our game. So we've played all sorts of stuff. Do check the playlist to one side, and you'll see a variety of different things you can also peruse at your leisure. But let's continue with this game for now. So first of all, let's go to my co-host, Guy. Who are you and who are you playing?
Hello, yeah, I'm Guy. I'm one half of Unconventional GMs and also blog at burnafterrunningRPG.com about mostly one-shots. And there may well be a review of Dragonbane by the time this goes live. So check it out. And if there isn't, I'm sorry. There's lots of other good stuff on there. Depends whether I've written it or not. Today I am playing Makander of Halfbay. It will be a surprise to nobody who knows my tastes in gaming that I'm playing an anthropomorphic duck, a knight clad in slightly battered plate mail armor. He is the second son of the mighty Baron of Halfbay, who is a duck aristocrat over to the east, and he proudly carries on his shield the representation of the Battle of Halfbay and the many human invaders skewered on duck spears as we fought them. Duck, of course, the name of my species is mallard. Duck is it's okay for me to call myself a duck, but I'd prefer if you all call me mallards. That's the official name in Dragonbane. And yeah, although he's a nobleman, he's very keen that you don't treat him any differently to any others. He's gone off to seek his fortune with these adventurers, and maybe when he returns home, he'll be able to claim his birthright rather than it pass automatically to his feckless elder brother. So yeah, he's very keen that you should treat him just like any other commoner, just because he's better educated and speaks more poshly than the rest of you and carries his rations in a nice gingham basket and so on. It doesn't mean he's any different to the rest of you. He's happy to slum it with the regular adventurers that he is. So that's me.
Excellent. Well, let's find out about one of those regular adventurers who's no different than you. We have with us Ian. Who are you and who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Ian McAllister. I run a website called The Giant Brain where I do a lot of tabletop criticism, including RPGs. Run a couple of podcasts as well, Brainwaves, which is about tabletop news, and Cult of the Old, about older games and putting them into a modern context. Today I am playing Baston Bloodjaw, a wolfkin from the north who, fed up with the clan fights and the sort of rivalries of the wolfkin up north, has decided to come south to seek out the finer things in life. Finer perfumes, finer clothes, finer weapons, and above all, finer food. A gourmet of sorts never turns down an opportunity to stop at a roadside eatery and sample the goods. And it's definitely going to be cozying up to Makander, who might be able to show him some of the nobler things in the country.
Well, we've got a
Got
very
a touch of caviar left, actually.
Oh,
That's
excellent.
we could share after this adventure. We could maybe smear it on some sourdough. Yeah.
a very genteel and urbane group we've got, no doubt. So let's go to my good friend Ben to find out who he's playing tonight.
Hello, I'm Ben. I'm one half of the What Would the Smart Party Do podcast, and I do some RPG stuff occasionally, including playing games and running them and writing them. Today, I am playing Chrisana the Bold. I am a halfling, which is just like you would imagine it, and I am a lady of the shadows, not a lady of the night, but a lady of the shadows. I didn't get my nickname myself. Oh, no. I haven't called myself the Bold. I wouldn't be so presumptuous. But the authorities in the big city, which for reasons I can't really visit anymore, did decide to name me that on their wanted posters. As I found myself in other people's property, with other people's property, stealing other people's property, etc. I mean, actually, it wasn't ever really about the money. It was about seeing the kitchens, though, because we already have a couple of gourmands on our team, but you cannot beat an urban halfling when it comes to pies, specifically terrines, short crust, long crust. I don't mind what's in them at all, but I'm here
You're
for
speaking my
pies
language.
mainly. So I'm adventuring in the new world to see what I can fit in my Hessian sack of delights.
Well, this has turned into the Great Half Bay Bake Off, the way it's going. But that's okay with me. And last but not least, we have Shane. Who are you playing tonight?
Hi, everybody. I'm Shane. Delighted to be back on the Unconventional GMs. I'm playing Archmaster Aodan. From an early age, obsessed with fire, led to the burning down of a barn, an accident, and being sent away to magic school, learning deeper secrets, and not being satisfied by that. So Aodan, who is a walking stereotype with a flowing beard, flowing robe, and huge crook-headed staff, wanders searching for power and the way to pronounce words in this strange foreign tongue he has learned.
Just read language.
It's a bit of pie crust got stuck in your throat, no doubt. Excellent. Well, that's our group. And I'm your GM, of course, Gaz, the other half of What Would the Smart Party Do, the UK's premier RPG podcast. So once you've watched this and read the blogs and listened to the podcast, you can listen to ours as well for more great advice, interviews, and such like. But without further ado, let's get going. So our characters are in the Misty Vale. So this is the part of the game world where there is a shroud of mist which covers the whole land. Apparently, 100, 200, 300, maybe as many as 800 years ago, perhaps a century, there was a dragon emperor who chased away some evil demons and things like that with the aid of dragons. And the world has little changed since then, aside from that empire fell, the orcs that came in afterwards have left. So if you imagine a fantasy realm, but quite tight, there are things like giants, there are ghosts, there are all the sort of fancy tropes you would expect. We have got our characters who describe themselves as some slightly different races, like the Wolfkin and the Mallard. But think about your normal kind of fantasy stuff, if in terms of aesthetics, watching a Lord of the Rings film or something like that, and you won't be too far off. So in this Misty Vale, the characters in a previous life determined that there was some kind of dragon statuette or some statue of the old emperor, perhaps, they had to piece together. And from a dying man in a goblin ambush, they recovered one piece and have determined to find the rest of it, and heard rumours of a village towards the north of outskirts, the only real town of note in this Misty Vale, and have fought their way through various random encounters to get here, and now stand upon a hill looking down into the valley where this village resides. At the back of it, there's mountains and all kinds of craggy bits and rocky areas, stuff like that. It looks like the perfect sort of place where dwarves might once have lived if they had not retreated with the advent of humanity pushing through the vale. But nestled at the bottom by a silvery stream, you can see a village. It looks a little strange, though. You can see the patchwork ploughed fields. There are animals in the fields, you think at first, but then you realise that they're all pretty static. And if anything, as you look around, the most prolific animal is probably the crows and buzzards and other carrion birds that seem to be flapping about the place.
Well, my fellows,
Signs of death.
indeed. But it's been a long road. And the village is ahead of us, and a good meal could do us well.
That'll be Dwarven architecture, or I'm no halfling, and everyone knows they are the lords of gravy, the very best gravy in the realms. Let's go fill our bellies
I've
before
not heard
those
that, actually.
carrion birds get there.
I don't think I've ever had any dwarf victual.
Oh, you'd remember it if it would. It sits heavy. It sits heavy on the stomach. Gravy you could build architecture out of.
You'll be passing cubes for the next 7 days.
Always with the food. Look to the danger. Carrion birds are not drawn to nothing.
Yes, of course. There's maybe death and destruction and danger around, but isn't that what adventuring is for? And one cannot adventure on an empty stomach.
One
Food
cannot
first, beer
adventure with
second,
a
Longbeard.
sword
Come on.
And as the younger members bound down into the village, the mage is forced with his staff to hobble along behind and try and play catch up as they rush in. You see a couple of buildings of note. There's a barn that looks burned down, more or less. It's just a blackened skeleton. There's a mill that's got a water wheel that's lazily splashing through the equally lazy stream that's passing by it. There's a well in the town hall. There was one of those covered slate roofs. It's the very image of a wishing well. And aside from that, a collection of hovels and small houses, all with a slate roof. It seems there must have been a slate mine nearby or easily quarried stone, but no sign of any people about. There are signs, as you look around, of greasy red smears, or more brownish by this point, probably. There's the odd bird hopping around, and there's a desiccated dog by the door of the Three Stags pub that looks completely devoid of any moisture. It's just like an empty sack of a dog with its head looking forlornly in your direction, the eyeballs conspicuously missing.
You're going to try and tell me those marks of brown are your gravy, Chrisana?
No, I think this
Caution.
has definitely put me off my dinner. I think you were right to be cautious. I wonder if there are any survivors. Quick, spread out, see if we can find anyone who's still breathing, unlike that poor Fido down there.
Yes, that poor animal. I'll go and check out the barn that's burned down. Maybe it seems to be the only building that has been set alight. Maybe there is a reason for it.
Don't go alone. There might be hostilities in there. I'll come with
Oh.
you.
Very good, my friend.
Then
I
let's
I
look at this
shall-
mill. Let's look at
I
this
shall
mill.
remain with you, Makanda.
Let's look at this
So,
mill.
meet you
Let's-
back at the mill back at the well in 120 heartbeats.
Always with the counting heartbeats. I can never keep up with that.
It'll just be a stretch. We can estimate it.
Yeah.
And it depends whether he's talking about the Archmaester's heartbeats, which are very slow.
Well, you can't rely on there being more than 100 at any point.
As long as it takes me to get through this jerky I've got on me. So I mean, it's tough eating. So about that long.
Excellent. And for our first rolls of the session, we'll go classic old school. I know you all love it, but let's all make awareness rolls to see what you discover as you start stalking around the village.
Success.
Success.
I am loudly chewing on my iron rations. I'm having to concentrate on my teeth. And the loud crunch deafens me to notice anything.
Okay, so
I've succeeded.
You succeeded from your pair. Let's start at the mill then. So there's nobody in as you approach. You look around. There is quite a lot of standing on the steps here. In fact, it's still tacky as you walk up. There's like those viscous kind of extra strings that come off the bottom of your feet as you step up the steps. When you go inside, there's the arm you'd expect on the end to be a big millstone, but it's not there. But the stones underneath it, where you expect the seed to be grounded on, are just smeared with gore. And there's all kinds of bits of viscera in various states, of some quite fresh and some that's been here for some time. And the place stinks quite badly. And in one corner are scraps of skin, clothes, old boots, a big pile of clothing, and other accoutrements. And as you're sort of like trying to guess what might have happened and look around outside, Ed, you particularly note that you do see out the back window, there is one animal that still seems moving. There's a cow on its side in the field, and it seems to be, moving in a way like its skin's rippling, and it's just led on one side.
At least something still lives in this forsaken village.
I would rather we did not encounter anything in this cursed building. I thought we would be making the better choice than going to the burnt out barn. I hope they haven't found anything worse. I'll heft my battle axe and shield up and proceed cautiously towards this cow.
Okay, the pair of you go to inspect the last surviving element, you suspect. The sun starts to obviously ominously go down behind the mountains now, so twilight descends at this point, and there's just the strange cries of carrion birds to haunt your ears and make you jump as you're heading over there in the dim light. By the barn, the other two of you are looking around, and you can see within. Well, those of you paid attention. Obviously, Chrisana's found something else to occupy her.
What? I got a success.
Did you?
Yeah, it was the other way around. I'm sharp-eyed. Nothing escapes my gaze.
Ah, you got another go. Okay. And I think Ian did you as well, Ian?
Am I reading this right? I've got 11 against the 5, so that's a fail.
That's a fail, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
actually,
Cool.
yeah.
I'm reading that
Looking
right.
slightly better at my 19 against the 12. That's not actually good, is it?
No, that's what I was trying to...
Sorry, GM veto. You're using the rules, whereas we're using wistful thinking.
I know. And if it wasn't for people watching at home, I wouldn't bother. I'd roll with it. But because we're trying to demonstrate how the game works, I'm going to try and use some game rules.
Sounds doubtful. That's the case.
We'll see how that lasts throughout the session. See, you don't see much. What you do recognise as you're kind of like ticking your way through the ashes and trying to work out if there's anything there, there's like odd crunching sounds, which at first you think's a bit of wood and whatever else. And then as you look down or dig through a bit more, you can find this like crustacean-like shells that you're crunching. And there's hundreds.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Weird nodules on them. Some look like cod shells. Some all kinds of like it's almost as if somebody dredged the bottom of a deep ocean and deposited in the barn before setting it on fire.
Like a variety of different shells, like crab shells, that kind of thing, all sorts of that kind of thing.
Yeah, but they all look strange. They don't look familiar. Well,
Okay.
they look familiar in that that's the general aesthetic, but they don't look like a particular creature that you've seen before, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And maybe something curious to the veil.
It's an odd sight, Chrisana, is not?
Yeah, very odd.
I mean, where's the nearest body of water to here?
We're miles from the sea, aren't we? Leagues from the sea.
I mean, I guess there may be freshwater things nearby, a lake of some description.
And it's as you turn around to cast about and look back at the well, which is like the nearest body of water to you, you see flooding out of it a variety of scuttling, clawed, stinged creatures swarming towards you.
I think that's the mystery solved.
And as we do a scream wipe, as Makanda's approaching this cow, its belly explodes, and an array of arachnid-like sea creatures and spider crabs and all kinds of things burst from there and rush towards yourself and Aidan as well at the same time. So for Aidan and Makanda, you did pass an awareness test between you, so you kind of get the inkling, so you're going to take part in the first round. You other two, you're just going to have to suck it up, basically, because you weren't paying attention.
We will take part by being beaten up.
We see them coming towards us, and we're discussing how you would cook these and make them into nice seafood paella.
Right.
There's enough here for a bisque.
Yeah.
So my roll 20 is very slow, which won't make a difference for you at home because they can't see it. But all you need to know is that in this moment of semi-silence, I'm dealing cards out in an order that I can see. So how this works is you've got a card that'll go between 1 and 10, and 1 goes first and 10 goes last. Actually, but you two of you don't get cards because you're not taking part this round, so that's fine. Oh, come here. So, Guy, you're going to go on 3. Aidan, you're going to go on 6, but my guys are going to go on a 2.
Ooh, ambush.
Indeed. So, how monsters work in this game, or in this case, this swarm counts as monsters or a monster. I roll a dice and see what happens, and then that just takes effect. Sometimes you can parry, sometimes you can't. It's all pretty random. So from my little table, I'm just going to roll d4 for each group. So for the Wolfkin and Halfling group, I get 4. It's a mass attack, and the crabs just are upon you before you even know it. and each of you takes d6 piercing damage with armor having no effect. So I'll just roll the same for both of you, and you can both take this straight to your hit points. Nothing you can do about it. You both take just 1 damage. So even though you're surprised, the little crablings had a long run from the well, so it gave you time to actually get some higher ground and get out of the way of the worst of it. You'll be pleased to know. And then for the other guys, a nipping attack. I'm going to say, well, again, on odds, it's Makander. Evens, it's going to be Aodan. Even so, it's Aodan. They swarm all over you. This is to rush right past Makander as they ready to shield and completely cover you, nipping you, stinging you, causing you all kinds of consternation. So it'll be an action to break free of them, which will require a willpower roll to ignore all the bites and stings and things to just basically snap out of it. So you're basically taken out until you can free yourself from this swarm that's all of you, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
And then we go to Makander. It's your action.
Okay, I shall. Clearly, these crabs don't attack me because they recognize a fellow creature of the sea or fresh water, whichever they're from, due to my webbed feet. So I take advantage of this by spinning on my large webbed feet and rushing to save Aodan. I'm saying, don't move, as I swing my battle axe towards him to try and take out as many of these as I can, and hopefully not take out Aodan as well.
Oh, well, don't roll a demon, I would suggest, on your attack.
It's always good advice. Yes, that is a hit, I believe.
It is
8 damage.
Okay, you smash and smash, and you reckon about a third of them either fall beneath your webbed feet and get pushed into the earth or smashed by your axe. But there's still quite a lot about, and some start to even scuttle up you now, it seems, now that you seem hostile.
Oh, they don't get up between my greaves and my leg. That'd be really difficult to get out.
That'd be terrible. We'll see what we roll on the table next time. Maybe they will. And then finally for this round, we have got Aodan. Would you like to make your willpower roll, I guess?
Well, I guess I shall roll a demon.
Oh, bad news. Okay, this is like more distracting than you could ever imagine. So as you rolled a demon, I'm going to give you a bane next time you roll, because now they've got inside your robes and they're going to
you beastly things
everywhere. Yeah, now your arthritis is playing up and all sorts. So let's recall the cards. I'm going to deal again. Now everybody's in, so we'll go with Makander's got a 7. Baston's got a 5.
Cool.
Kasana is on a 9.
Oh.
Aodan gets a 4. And the Crablings get an 8. So, Aodan, the good news is you get another chance straight away to try and rid yourself of this swarm.
Yep. I will set a bane and roll. Get off me, you beastly things! And that is a success.
Excellent. And how do you do it? Is it like dropping and rolling? Is it running around screaming? Is it some other magical way of doing it?
Well, one of my spells is called Pillar, which creates a pillar up to 3 meters high out of the ground. So in reflex, I imagine I will cast that and throw and lift myself a short way into the air, and a lot of them drop away, and the others that are running at me can't get up. And I'm teetering on top of this one sort of probably a meter high bit of stone, kicking the last of them out of my robes, shrieking imprecations in languages that very few in this parts have heard.
Excellent stuff. Good news. Okay, and then Baston, you get a chance to fight your swarm.
So Baston sees the swarm coming towards him and pulls out his long spear and, thinking of seafood kebabs, like try to smash as many of them, like again, basically against the wall of the well as possible, down his spear, smashing as many as possible onto it. So, what do I roll here? Can I just roll for my long spear? Yes. Okay.
Should be able to.
That is a hit.
Jesus wept.
And a lot of damage. Holy crap.
That is 19.
It went that high.
There's the right way around. Those rolls.
Yeah, the other way around.
He just decided to sushi them, and he's like just like pushing them into his mouth now.
Okay, yeah. So in a short while, you end up with your spear, which is like a kebab of various creatures, like impaled upon it.
Yeah.
As those are this shovel into your wolfish maw. Beautiful. Makanda, you get to act.
At the first nip of these creatures at my legs, as one has happened, you hear a quack, a honk of rage from Makanda, as I use my ill-tempered power, and that gives me a boon on my attack, but makes me angry.
I love it.
And yes, that 11 damage. So I howl and squawk as my feathers are plucked off by these things.
Yeah, you've not managed to kill them all now, but you have crushed the main body of them. So now it's just about the big fat ones that are still running around that might be a danger. But you're now looking around a ruined body, like some all-you-can-eat lobster buffet in some American Midwest town or something. Why lobsters would be in the Midwest, I don't know, but that's the first thing that came to my mind. Then it is the crabs themselves. The crablings get to attack back. So we'll start with Makanda's posse, and Makanda probably, because he's the one that's on the ground nearest them. And we'll get 3 this time. I think, yes, they go for a joint attack, and all of a sudden, just seem to swarm towards you. And you're going to take 2d4 slashing damage and make a fear check, as you're suddenly worried for your skinny legs that might get devoured, and then they'll eat their way up to the rest of you. So you'll have to make a will roll for your fear, and you're going to take 5 hit points damage as well, ignoring armor.
Oh, I was all right with that until you said ignoring armor. That's not fun. That might scare me that it ignores my armor. It's the ones that are up in my legs, inside my greaves. But I stand firm. Pure rage, like blots out any sense of fear as I begin, like madly unbuttoning my greaves to try and get at these last ones.
Excellent stuff. And then the few remaining crablings on the other side. It's the same again. Who's got the lowest con out of Chrisana and the wolfling?
13. I'm quite doughty.
17.
Oh, you're very doughty.
I doubt you're doughty.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No, buff, not doughty. Buff.
So Chrisana, you're lowest to the ground and easiest to get. So they start trying to devour you. You take 7 damage ignoring armor.
Oof. By the gods.
And you need to make a fear check. So I'll roll your willpower.
Okay.
As you're worried you might be consumed like one of your pies.
I'm genuinely worried. So willpower roll, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Here it comes. Well, it takes more than a few angry crustaceans to put me off my game.
And talking of your game, it's your action to do something about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm actually going down underneath a swarm of these things now. There is a tide of shell and chitin coming over me. But in the meantime, I've grabbed a small hand towel from my waist, and in my other hand slips in my trusty throwing knife, which I use like I did in the old ports of Blackmarsh to shuck my way through many, many of these oyster-like assailants.
I knew the culinary expertise would come in handy at some point.
All of which means I hit it with my dagger. Okay. Take. Yes, it did. Yeah, oh, it's a hit. 8 damage. That's actually really good for me.
And it's
D8.
really good for Team PC, as that's enough to disperse the swarm entirely.
Yes.
Those that have not been shocked quickly scuttle sideways back towards the well or other hiding places and get out of your way.
I sink to my knees and then slowly keel over. Oh, I'm
Are you okay? Are you all right, my friend? Do you need some maybe nice reviving seafood with a little bit of lemon, perhaps?
Seafood, maybe not, but if you've got any Tabasco, get some of it in my nostrils now, will you? Oh, I'm seeing things. It's starting to go dark all around me, Baston. Heal me, heal me.
I have no skills in such a direction, I'm afraid. Only chili from the south I could apply. Starts rooting around in a little bag.
Very good. Right. Well, it's a new round, but I think without any more cards, there's very few hit points left in the remaining swarm. And I think there's probably enough being done by Mikanda. And I imagine licks of flame start to appear in Aodan's hands. And that's enough to see them off as they scuttle out of the way. Some of them back inside the cow, some to the stream with the cool water and to travel to further distant parts, perhaps.
It's a curious thing, my friends. Crustaceans in the middle of a village, in the middle of, well, far from any sort of salt water, at least. I've never seen such a thing in my life.
Have we all grouped back together?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
stagger
I'm sure
over.
you can do.
They've got a nip on them, that's for sure.
I'm helping Chrisana along as best I can, despite being
strangest
much
of it-
taller than her.
The strangest of it, not just in the well, but in a cow, still living. They burst out. Horrible it was. Mikanda was amazing as always.
I mean, everything needs to eat, doesn't it? He
But to
says,
live
chomping on
inside a
something.
cow?
I have lost my appetite for seafood suddenly at that attack, as I'm still, Mikanda's still like
Bastard
half
standing there with his long
Yeah.
spear with a bunch of like crabs. Like,
starting a fire. Yeah.
yeah.
The door to the three stags is thrown open, and a worried little face appears. It says, "Quick, get inside. They come at night mostly."
Name yourself, stranger.
Come on, Chrisana.
You don't need to ask me twice. The 3 stags it is. Get me to
I'll pick Chrisana up bodily and like carry her in.
Yeah, we're all going in. As yeah, you should still tell us your name, but yes, we will join you in the.
My name's Olga. Quick, get inside. And with that, she slams the door, and you the keen-eyed amongst you will have noted there was like a white powder or something on the floor. And as she puts it down again, she puts a line of salt along the base of the door and mumbles some words. And you see some herbs are hanging by a string above the door as well. Various things have been scratched in the back of it, sigils and such.
I give Baston a very stern look. you may wish to season them, but it's important that stays there.
Can I sense?
I was
any-
not thinking that much.
We were all thinking that.
Mind on pesto.
Can I sense any magic when she mutters and casts about the salt?
You don't. You can make a myths and legends roll, is it? I want to say.
Gladly, sir. I shall even pass.
You shall just about. Okay. From your knowledge, the things she's saying have long been like hedge magic, people would call it, and superstitions and stuff like that. But you're fairly convinced there's no real power in it, per se. But there have been rumors that here and there something did come of it. So you don't feel like particularly challenged on the magical scales of who's best or anything like that. But yeah, it seems like backwoods magic is the best way to call it, and you're not sure the efficacy of it, but maybe it'll help a little bit.
Why do you scatter the salt, Olga? Surely that is but superstition. There is no power to it.
And now you're inside, and you can see under the one light of some beeswax candles. She's quite a young girl, maybe like 16, 17 summers, something like that. And looks pretty much like a server you would see in many taverns and bars around the place. A fairly ashen face is also covered with ash and dirt, and you can see there's like clearer spots underneath her eyes where she's clearly been tired and crying, and they're all reddened. And she's, I'm doing what Ma told me to do. Everything I can remember. She was the real healer of the village, but perhaps I could offer you all a drink.
Ah, excellent. Yes, and maybe tell us a little bit about what has happened here.
Well, a madness took over people, and she's quickly gets behind the bar and spreads out some cups and starts pouring out generous brandies all round. Well, there was always people who wanted to go and search for other things. The tourist trap we had here was about the old dwarven tombs that they're in the mountains, the places that you don't go because they're trapped with cunning devices and old magics. But we tell stories of the fantastical treasures that could be found there, and that would draw a fair few adventurers in, and it all seemed fine. But then then something strange happened. Someone who looked a bit, and she sort of like edges away from Aidan a bit. Says, look dressed like maybe one of that gentleman with similar robes, except it was a woman, of course, and she had her friends with her, and they said they had secrets they could uncover, and spoke in very strange words I didn't fully understand, if I'm completely honest with you. But they paid well, and ever since they went up there, other things have happened. Villagers started going up there, and then before we knew it, things were happening to the livestock. And then villagers came back and they weren't the same, and they wouldn't speak, and they attacked people, and everything just happened so quickly. Before we knew it, there was all kinds of these weird critters and creatures everywhere. People were disappearing, cows were being destroyed and eaten. Loved ones would come back all misshapen and horrible and bug-eyed. Oh, it's in a mere matter of a few days. It's all gone. It's all gone to naught. There were terrible screams from the mill as well. And now there's very few left. There was only me. I've managed to stay out of the way, I think because of my protections and keeping quiet. But now there's only the people up in the hills, in the mountains. They come down every now and again looking to see if anybody new strayed this way. And I hear the screams as they dragged off.
When do they come?
At night, mostly.
Well, there should be no screams tonight. I say as I start dressing my wounds and looking over to Chrisana.
Yeah, coughing up blood into my hand towel. Yeah, you're safe. You're in safe paws now. Don't worry.
Do you perhaps have a frying pan and maybe a fire that I could cook some of these on? And he starts to shuck the things off his spear.
No fires, she says, alarmed, looking to the windows. No, don't do fires.
They seem to sense our presence. They will sense fires. They will sense our presence, our life.
Oh, very well.
Our life essence. So you say they come at night. I wonder, should we wait? What do you think, my fellow questors? Should we wait for them to come to us at night, or should we perhaps steal a march on them and explore the Dwarven tombs ourselves while the hours of daylight are still with us?
Not much daylight left, I think. I think some observation as to these strange occurrences might do us well for information, and then maybe in the morning we can go up to the mountains.
I don't think they'll give us a morning. I don't think there's a shift left in our mission.
Maybe not.
Well, the good
news
news
is, Commander, Macanda.
I can make light, so we need not fear the dark. And if we have light, they are no more dangerous at night than in the day.
That is true. That is wise words. Wise words, mage. Come on, let's take the fight to them. Poor Olga here, she must be terrified, living one night at a time with only a condiment to save her from the crustacean assaults.
Very well.
We can't tarry anymore.
Very well. I finished like getting all these crustaceans off my spear. One's still struggling. Like stab it, make sure it's dead. Rightio then, let's go. I guess. Yeah. I'm always looking forward to a meal at least.
Let's seize the day. There'll be more meals with
hopefully.
Other stuff that we encounter.
We need your lupine senses, Wolfkin.
The good news is you've had a chance to have a stretch rest.
Yes.
Was anybody tended to with healing?
I kept asking, but it was not forthcoming.
No,
I don't have any.
I'm a healer and will tend to the companion as needed.
Okay, so basically you get to heal a d6 hit points or 2d6 if you've been tended to by a successful healing roll.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Well, I've taken 1 hit point, so I'll assume I'll heal that.
And successful it is.
Nice.
And you also get to recover 1 condition.
The duck's no longer angry.
Sorry, calm down a bit. Yeah, I've come down. Well, I'm angry again now. Say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Racist.
I've calmed down now. Yeah.
Cool. So after banding yourselves up and calming yourselves down, having some brandy in your bellies and other bits of hardtack and maybe raw fish if that's your thing, you're heading out.
Do we get willpower back as well? Just
well, for a round rest, you can get d6 heal points back once per shift. So yes, you can do that as well if you want.
I shall kill some.
Did it cost me 1 willpower to do my stretch rest?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, because it came up willpower points 1, hit points 6. So I've recovered 6 hit points, but it took away one of my willpower points. Which
That's
seems a strange bargain.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go with, it's not really rule of cool, but rule of gas to say we're not doing that.
Okay, cool.
You can have a D6 willpower back anyway, so it's irrelevant.
Yeah, cool.
Cool. So feeling somewhat better and with a nervous Olga behind you.
Oh, she
fretting.
coming too?
No. She's waving you off from the door, and
All right.
as you leave, she's worried that you're going and almost tries to stop you. And then as you leave, she seems to seem almost relieved. It's like if they're coming for anyone tonight, it won't be her. And
as we trample across the salt on the door,
that's right.
kicking it everywhere. Oh, sorry.
Loudly chatting amongst yourselves with the big lights
Yeah.
on. She feels a lot better about it all. And you work your way up. It's quite easy to follow where other people or other things have been before now. So although there might be several locations up in the mountains, the one that's probably of interest is the easiest to follow, which you do. And you at first view, after some tramping and jumping at shadows and odd noises, you feel that it's perhaps just a cleft or a crag in the rock or something. You don't see anything unusual. Then you realise it's just the cunning dwarven ingenuity that they've hidden away one of their buildings in a darkened valley of sorts or crevasse, and approach within. So this will not show for players, viewers at home even, but for our players, we're going to try and do Roll20. So I'll rely on them to come up with amazing descriptions of things they may see or encounter and that kind of thing. But
That's
players,
incredible. Listen,
you should
I'm
see a
stunned.
mainly black screen, but if you scroll out or to the right, you will see a bit of light, a small bit.
Yep.
We'll see if Fog of War works or not.
Yeah, it works.
It's very foggy.
Dwarves
Yeah.
are known to use spells of binding to close the doors against outsiders. I will rack my brain for all the words required, and then see the door is open.
Aha!
Do you rush forward and go, open, friend, before anybody's got a chance to look and go, see?
Oh no, not at all. I'm behind Makanda as
Okay.
a default position.
Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah, I think Makanda and myself are out the front.
Yeah, well, you see the ancient doors are wrenched ajar, and you pass into a passageway with a nook and niche to one side of you, which perhaps once held a statue but now holds rubble. There's a stone door to your left. There a little passageway you can see with some strange carvings upon it, and a flight of stairs that head down to a lower level with more doors. And a fresco on the far wall, which seemed to depict the brave exploits of some dwarven hero from decades, if not centuries, before. The curious thing you note at the top of the steps as you look down is that the bottom of the room, and the bottom couple of steps at least, seem to be full of water. Probably knee deep to an average person.
Yeah.
You'll have to adjust based on whether you're a halfling, a wolfkin, or a mallard as to where you think that comes up to on you. But if you imagine an average human, it'll be like knee deep.
Aston's going to take a good sniff of the air in here, see if he can like pick out anything in particular. I don't know how that
It
works.
smells salty.
Okay.
It smells like the docks at low tide.
Okay. And we're like miles and miles away from any like sea, yeah.
Yeah, there is no sea on the map that you've looked at.
Okay. Smells like my time on some of the boats that took me to the south here.
You think you can hear,
Strange.
you're not sure this whale song or something? You can hear some kind of ululating noise in the background somewhere.
Can you all hear that? Is it
You can all
echoing
hear
around
it.
the corridors?
Yeah, it's kind of muffled. It's definitely behind the doors somewhere, deeper in. But you got a rumble. You can almost feel it in your chest a little bit vibrating. When you're like standing too close to a bass speaker or something like that, you've got a bit of that thing going on.
Right, this might be a bit of a strange one, but what I'd like to do then, Gaz, is I'd like to crouch down on the bottom of the steps near the surface of the water, and with my keen halfling vision, can I see whether the water level has risen or sunk or has stayed largely the same by looking at wet tide marks, algae, that kind of thing? Is it stable?
Roughly, yes. Do you want to make an awareness roll, and we'll see if you can discern even finer details.
Yeah. Okay. Bring that light a bit closer. That's it. That's better. Ah, it is now absolutely clear to me that
It
success.
is indeed. So you discern that although very slowly, you can see that the water level's rising very incrementally, but it is getting like to the point you don't think anybody else would notice it looking at it, but you can tell
Yeah.
that millimeter by millimeter this water's starting to rise.
Ah, yes, they use the metric system here in the Misty Vale. Of course.
The
All right,
dwarves
we're on
used
the
it.
clock, everybody. Let's not hang around. What do you think? Wade out into the water, or did I spy an exit to the south in the antechamber that we're standing in?
Perhaps
It's-
Dryer Door sits behind us.
Ah, of course.
Baston leads the way to the door and gives it a good shove to get it open.
So this the nearest one to the entrance as you came in.
Yeah.
They're
As
still
you do
on
that-
dry land.
Yeah, as you do that, McKenna says, we should remember, Chunk, dwarves are legendary for their traps. As you barge this door in.
You
Baston turns around, but jerky in his mouth. What? Push.
you see a largish chamber beyond. It's got raised areas around both walls. To the side, a door straight ahead of you, the more of the carvings, and placed on shelves that are cut into the very rock all around on that raised area. You can see stone tablets with all kinds of runes and markings tiled into this. So it's basically a library for stone tablets, if you will.
Anything here, Ayadan, that you can interpret?
I will turn my eyes to it, watch my back, and I'll see what I can see.
In the meantime, I'm
Um,
going to go and have
you-
a listen at the other door, opposite the one we came in.
Listen at the door, I love it. Yeah, you don't hear anything particularly,
Cool. I'm just going to give it a shot.
but I'm glad that you did. Yeah.
Kick it open.
I'll give it a slow shove. Hearing the warning about traps, a slow shove will definitely not alert any traps, right?
That's right. It's only when you give it a quick shove, that's when the
Yeah.
traps turn up. Yeah.
Dwarves famously known for their quickness.
So, skills. Do we have a language-based skill in this game? That's what I'm looking
Those
for.
languages.
There's just languages, yeah.
I thought there was.
That sounds
Something like
exactly right.
Yeah, make a languages roll for me, if you will.
That is a pass.
Excellent stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
very archaic dwarven script of sorts, or rune language. And there's a whole array of things that are documented here. It would take you weeks to read through it all, so you just have to do a bit of a skim and see what you can find. And it looks to you very much like this was a dwarven rune crafter, someone who could cast a different type of magic that's perhaps been lost to people now. It's so old. But there's all variety of different spells, enchantments, rituals, and things, preparations for alchemy and all sorts of stuff here. So there's a veritable trove of magical knowledge.
Great. I'll
but
tell
unless
the
there was something
others.
specific, there's nothing you could
No.
grab out.
I'll tell the others, but at much more length than you did.
Yeah.
And another thing.
I'll mark down that another
What
shift
we want
has
to know
passed
is-
on the stretch.
Is it valuable? And is it worth taking out of here? Because they're quite heavy.
It's priceless. You could sell this to scholars. You could donate this to universities.
Okay, sell, good, donate.
Soulless.
Let's come back.
Mercenary.
Let's come back for it at the end once we know it's safe. Because we don't have to fear about it flooding. This library won't be damaged if that water rises, will it? At least dwarves have thought of that. At least.
And the current inhabitants have seen fit to leave this stuff where it lay.
As has everybody else who has visited here seeking treasure, we must note.
And, who wants to test our limits of encumbrance anyway?
Or curses, perhaps.
Onwards to the watery, or through this chamber and continue past it?
I've started pushing the other door already.
Baston's taking the initiative.
Baston's through it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No one rushes ahead like Baston.
No one gets shot in the head like Baston.
Yeah, there's a quick L shape and a corridor that leads down with a sort of like a room that expands around the corridor, if you will. What previous service this room had, you're not quite sure. There's a mouldy old tapestry that's long since been reduced to moth feet that doesn't mean much, and a couple of old bits and pieces about the place, but nothing too exciting. And as you rush forward with the rest slowly catching you up, Bestam, you look down this long corridor. Who's got a light source, I want to say at this point, because by now you are outside of the scope of the light that was coming from outside. So
I've got a torch on me.
You carry a torch?
Yep.
And I can create magical flame with the ignite spell that will act as a torch on my hand.
Good. I'm not going to police it too strongly, but just so we're aware. God forbid someone should drop their torch in a body of water, for example. That might be upsetting.
Yeah, I'd like to think that Makanda has a torch. It's possibly not lit at the moment. It's not strictly speaking in my equipment list, but
yeah,
there's not anything else in my equipment list either. So
basic stuff like that. You can say you have with you. Yeah.
Well, I do have it, my equipment list. So take this, Makanda. I work best in the shadows, and I light a torch for you and pass it over.
Oh, I was
Two
thinking
schoolboys sharing a cigarette.
And then immediately walk into a wall.
Well, drifting a bit further down the corridor, you can see there's another narrow set of steps that go down, and the water levels there visible as the steps descend a little bit.
I was hoping it'd be dry this way.
A strange coruscating light in the water. There's it's a bit lava lamp if you look at the walls of the corridor with this kind of like seascape kind of pattern that's going on there. There's obviously some bioluminescence or something, some of the light source that's within the water itself. Not
like
bright enough to make everything really light the whole corridor up, but there's something in there.
Like plankton or something kind of in the water.
Kind of
like
effect. Yeah, something like that.
Well, I was hoping for a dry route, my friends, but I guess we'll have to get our feet wet. Literally.
We're going to get wet. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Oh, it's been too long. As I wade in my plate armor out to my waist, just about managing. I might take my greaves off. Actually, that might be the one concession. Take my greaves off so I can just float.
Rosanna, do you need a piggyback?
I'm not going to demean myself that much. Well, let's see if it gets a little bit deeper. Oh, it's just gone over my waist. Oh, that's always a chilly bit.
So yes, with the wolfhead running like a Labrador at the beach and splashing into the water, and Makanda taking his greaves off and Stander going up to her waist, and probably hitching up his robe or something. Yeah,
I see Makanda like swims like that, like being under the water.
I am just floating.
Almost definitely.
Yeah, but you're really busy under the water, right? That's what I do.
Yeah, you're calm up top. You splash into the water, and I'll let you all make an awareness roll when you do that as you start to wade your way through or splash.
That's very kind of you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
very appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Passed it.
No.
Failed.
Okay, so it's the old man and the halfling that passed, right?
The ones without the torches, that's correct.
Good. That's right. Yeah. Well, what I'll do, because there's a fucking word, we'll see these, but these are going to be your cards. I'm going to roll a die that I'm going to tell you. So it's an 8 is what you got, Chris.
That's for my facetiousness, isn't it?
It is. You'll be happy to know the thing that I'm about to reveal gets a 9. So you two are actually right first. So that's good. But in the water, you realise as you get the feathers and hair all stand on end, there's a swarm, whatever the collective noun is for electric eels. That are writhing out in the water. And what was that kind of like nice planktony light suddenly becomes coruscating lightning. And you all get a shock through the water. But Aodan and Chrysander, you get to act before that actually discharges.
Well, I'm just thinking how great and foresightful Makanda was for taking off those metal greaves. Right, okay, a dagger is going to flash into my hand. I yell, eels, get out of the water. I'm going to ferociously stab around myself with the dagger into the water and out again.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's try this then. So it's going to be a dagger attack. It's a hit for 9 damage.
That is not insignificant. As several of the eels, in fact, are slit and suddenly go dull and lifeless. But there's a whole writhing morass, and it's not enough to take them all out. Aedan, what do you do?
Aedan will quickly incant some words of power and throw his hands out and summon forth a gust of wind that will blow creatures and water alike back the way. And being a fire mage, he's never heard the term tidal wave, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, and I'm going to overcast it up to power level 2 by using some extra willpower to cast the spell and do additional damage. That is a fail, so I am going to push that roll. I am very much disheartened by the way this has gone, all this water, and I'm a fire mage, which turns it into a success.
Yes.
So that will do 2d6 damage against, sorry, 3d6 damage against a swarm. So 8 points of damage as the gust of wind throws out roiling water and eel alike.
Indeed, the water's immediately pushed back, and there's a splatter against the back wall as lots of these eels are crushed and snap. And there's a momentary pause when you all think, oh, clear corridor. And then the water that was pushed back now surges back around again in a blinding rush. And I will just roll on my little table to see what happens as a result. Press enter. Here we go. Exciting times for everybody watching at home.
Well worth waiting for that one.
Yeah.
That was thrilling, wasn't it, everybody? Okay, so one of you, one of you takes the initial hit from the lightning, and then there's a chain lightning effect as it jumps from your damp ankle to dank ankle across all of you.
Probably makes
So you're
sense
each-
if I stepped forward to do the water. I probably took the brunt of it.
You can't. I mean,
sorry.
I'm still.
I mean,
wearing
I was at
plate
the front
armor.
as well, so it could be me.
Okay.
Dragging
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Reeves along.
It is fine.
Aren't we all martyrs?
Yeah. Well, how
Maybe
the
it should be
game works.
Cassandra.
How the game works is that monsters have a ferocity that they get to that many attacks, and they just do them. So depending on what I roll, will inform what happens. So for this particular attack, it affects everybody. So it doesn't matter who's first. It's just everybody's going to take d6 damage ignoring armor.
Okay.
So you're each going to take 5 damage
Wow.
ignoring armor.
Ouch.
Then due to its ferocity of 2, I'm going to roll another d4 to see what else happens. Assuming roll 20 lets me. And they all gang up now on the player with the lowest con. So is that Aedan by any chance?
I am
Possibly.
Doughty.
I have 11. I am
17.
undoughty.
Lower than me, yeah.
Yeah, it is you. So probably because you pushed them back and otherwise upset them, one would imagine. So it fits the narrative.
Yeah, it's fair.
But they coalesce in a roiling ball and then discharge a huge lightning bolt in your direction.
Oh.
Oh, good.
So for some reason, this is less damaging, though. Probably because you pushed all the water back and it has to arc through the air rather than go through the briny water. But you take 4 damage, ignore armor.
Ow. That is a sort of stagger back, screaming in shock and pain, as that is a big hit pushing me close to the edge.
Good stuff. Okay. Let's see if the cards are working this time. So, Makanda, you're going to get to go on a 2. Do you know what? Let's change the thingy. And an 8 for Bastow. We get a 5 for Ben.
Yay.
Kasana. We get a 1 for Aedan. And then for the electric eels, I get a 10. So they go last. So Aedan, you get to go
They're
first.
very sprightly.
Yeah, so I think I am going to, in this panicked moment, I am going to reach to my natural element, and I'm going to throw a ball of fire at them. Well, not thinking straight about the impact on water, and that is a success.
Just about.
Do you wish me to modify the damage in any way with the water?
I'm going to give you a break on this one because I think you pushed the water back, so it's at the minute it's sloshed quite a lot, so it's not as deep as it would be.
Okay. So 6 points as fire licks out from Airden's fingers as he almost screams out words that assault the ears in the language of magic.
Yeah, there's a hiss of steam which parboils some of them. And there's only a few left now, although they seem to be bubbling away and recharging. But yeah, you've definitely killed off a few more, and there's very few left. Mikanda, you are probably the nearest to do something about it.
Yeah, I use all my aquatic combat training to leap forwards, paddling furiously as I float in my breastplate and then flip over to one side to slice them with my axe before flipping back up like a delicate, like canoe kayaker writing in the water.
It's a wonderful picture in words.
Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Not well. I am going to push myself. Yeah, I'll push myself. That makes me, I think I'm probably dazed a little bit by this. In fact, yeah, the water's quite low, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you hear there's a sort of echoey bang from beneath the water as I whack my head against the floor and realize my choice to not wear a helm was possibly unwise. And I come back with like birds flying around my head, but having swung my axe for 14 damage, actually, which is all right.
And that slices through all the remaining eels as you hack deftly with your underwater shenanigans. And yeah, the threat of eels has now been completely neutralized.
Shout back, pies tonight, Trisana.
Baston's already picking up one, the parboiled one, giving it a good sniff. Like,
If I never see another sea creature again, it'll be too soon.
Wait for the pastry crust. That's done.
I'm going to lean up the wall, breathing heavily, quite badly hurt.
Well done, old man. Your fire saved the day.
Ah.
Don't look so disheartened. We can win this quest.
I am in quite considerable pain.
Is there anything we can do for you, Aidan? I have no skills myself.
There is nothing that can be treated here, only rest and a warm bed.
Well, let's take a stretch at least.
Let's get out of this water before we do it.
Catch our breath.
Yeah, so there's that
Good
little
idea.
antechamber with a mouldy tapestry you can kind of retreat to out of the water
Yep.
at least.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And have a little rest. And as our characters do that, so shall our players, because we're going to take a quick break. So don't worry, in Watcherland, this will be quite short for you. We'll edit it down, so it's just a few seconds. So you'll get a lovely image of the splash screen, and then we'll be back for more interesting times in Dragonbane. See you all very soon. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragonbane. The characters have encountered a strange village on the search for a bit of a statue they're perennially looking for. There was nothing but death and strange aquatic creatures that they found there, and they've headed up into the mountains to an old Dwarven tomb, stronghold, something like that they've begun to explore. They found that part of the tomb is already got a very gently rising level of briny water. They found a trove of slate-based magical tomes, and they've encountered some electric eels, which have done terrible things to some of them, but have in turn been dispatched. And after a quick breather in a room with a mouldy tapestry, they are ready to progress. So what do we do, fair travellers? Are you going to push through the water in this location or head back somewhere else?
Baston's in favour of pushing through.
Yeah, the only way is forward. There's no point turning
Agreed.
back now. I know little of Dwarven architecture, but it may be that this room with water in it and the room with water in it before may join up at some point to create a larger body of water. That's my theory.
If it gets any deeper, maybe we turn back. But for now, I say let's get on with it.
Mikanda knows water. I trust him.
Indeed.
Indeed. And I'm guessing the Wolfkin's the first one that heads round the corner.
Yes.
We're still discussing the Mallard's knowledge of water-based physical geography, and the Wolfkin has loped off, throwing eels behind him as he wades through the water.
Yeah. So I slowly float behind him.
Yeah.
Little legs going.
Pepe Le Pew in it behind me.
Yeah.
Cassandra with the baggage held high above her as she's
Yep.
Neck deep.
wading through the water. Excellent. Well, yeah, ahead you can see there's a crossroads. There's another of these strange stone doors to the north, we might call it, if the top of the map's north. And to the west, there's another door. And to the right, an archway that leads into a larger chamber.
I'm going to check out the chamber first before I open any more doors.
Of course you are. Why wouldn't you? And you peer back, sort of in the direction you came down that long corridor with the eels, probably headed back in that sort of similar direction for people trying to navigate at home. And you can see that there's indeed an alcoved chamber ahead of you. It's also still full with this water as you might expect, and down the far end you can see the corridor turns off. To either side, there's 3 alcoves, which perhaps, again, once had statues, but now hold bits of masonry and crumbled rock. And you can see things in this expanse, the open expanse in the middle. There's bits and pieces. There's definitely an arm sticking up in one, like with a mailed greave over it that's broken at a weird angle. But there doesn't seem to be any flesh on the hand. It's just bits of bone that are sticking out. Perhaps half a hand, if you will.
Okay.
And there's other bits and pieces just lurking under the water that you can't quite discern, but you can usually hold your torch and look about. Weird shadows are cast about the dark, murky water.
I'm going to sort of approach into the room slowly, like towards these objects, my long spear at its full extension, and sort of poke around in the water.
And I want to get out of this water, please, guys. So if I go to an alcove, either left or right, whichever one's better for these purposes, can I clamber up onto the remains of a statue and try and get a better water level?
Yeah, definitely. You can do that.
I'm going to float into the middle of the room, bobbing, holding my torch.
I'm going to stay at the doorway, thank you very much.
So I relied on the Wolfkin's probably the first. So can you make an evade roll for me, please?
An evade roll? Yeah, sure. Where do I find that?
It's agility if you can't find evade as a skill.
Evade is a skill, I think.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, but if you don't have it at all, it's the same as rolling agility. So
found it. I pass.
There's a sort of like a twanging kind of sound, as if like you've recognized from when you're pulling the tendon, like snapping out of some animal that you're pulling apart. And then from the middle alcove on one side to the other, this huge millstone and a bit of rubbery tentacle, for want of a better word, swings right in front of you, and you have to snatch your spear back and your face, your snout.
Yeah.
As it comes by at great speed, as if the rubberized tentacles kept under great tension, and as it smashes into the far wall and swings back across and rocks till it eventually, like dragging through the water, comes to a stop in front of you. And it looks... Well, you went to the mill house. Oh, you didn't go to the mill house, did you? But it looks like a millstone to you, but covered in a russet red browny ichor with bits ingrained in it. And as you stare and contemplate how narrow that was, you think you can see bits of teeth or bone or something encrusted in the very stone.
Yeah, I give it a good sniff and sort of sniff the blood and ichor off it.
Yeah, smells.
Vikander, when you went to the mill house, was this maybe not there?
Vikander is furiously backpedaling to try and stop himself, floating straight into this blooded millstone. Yes, that was missing from the mill. What? It must have been a mighty beast that carried it all the way up here, though.
Or magic.
Some great ore magic, yes, ore magic.
And a strange motivation. With all the rubble here, why bring a millstone all this way?
It does seem odd, doesn't it, to bring such a gigantic stone here just for a trap? Surely there must have been easier ways to defend this area.
Some significance it must have, but we won't answer it staring at the millstone.
No, indeed. Let's go back the way we came. Like, this just goes back to the entrance by the looks of it, just round the corner.
In my
Yes.
experience, crazy sorcerers in ancient cults don't have to make sense.
A valid point.
Truth.
You dried out, Chrisana?
Yeah.
Let's go back in then. Off we go.
Yeah.
Oh, splash.
And where do you head? Like directly opposite this archway, there's another doorway.
Yeah, I'm just going to
Or-
go straight opposite.
Or there's one.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep my bearings as we move around this flooded catacomb. I think that would just take us back to the first flooded chamber that we saw. But let's find out.
Yeah, if you went deep into the room of 3, that's where you would go, you think.
Yeah.
So you're going back directly opposite. So
Yeah.
Going
Back into the crossroads and opposite.
yeah, in some of the games, people would now get you to make strength rolls and measure time until you broke the door down. But I'll simply tell you that a stretch of time passes as you try and force this door open, as it's something's behind it. It doesn't open as easily as you might think, but there is a bit of give. So between you, you all stretch and strain and take turns. And before too long, you've managed to wrench it open. And you can see behind, there's lots of rubble and detritus have been piled against the door to keep it closed. And there's a squarish chamber with just another door to the south. And nothing particular of note here, apart from everything that's just been basically piled as if someone's barricaded themselves in. So I'm going to take liberties here and assume that Bloodjaw just goes straight for the remaining exit.
Yes.
Yeah.
To have a look through it, because
They'll
why
know
dally?
we're coming. I think we're
Yeah.
closing in on our quarry, and we would have been fairly noisy pushing that door open, right?
Yeah. So you find a reasonable sized chamber dominated by a sarcophagus in the middle, covered in dwarven runes. Around the outside of it, there's frescoes of some great learned dwarf, you imagine, from the looks of it, teaching others, almost like some religious figure, really, speaking to others who are all youngish dwarves sat around listening to his sermons and things like that. There's a statue still intact behind it, which you take to be the dwarf himself, who's perhaps laid to rest. And although there's rotted tapestries and other things, there's other bits of finery around, like a nice silver chest urn, some other accoutrements of that matter, some fine things, a shiny bronze, a mirror and stuff like that. The keen-eyed amongst you might notice that the sarcophagus lid is slightly askew, so that you could see a bit of air gap, if you will.
Yeah.
And Bloodjaw being first, you're sniffing the air. You smell something. It smells like Makanda. It's got that foul smell, if you'll forgive the pun.
Oh, Lord.
But does also smell foul in the other sense, or the other spelling of the word. Like, it smells like Makanda if you hadn't bathed for a good week.
That never happens.
Which never happens, of course.
Vikander, give me a hand with the sarcophagus, would you? I want to take a better look.
Oh yeah, we best be careful as I rush in to move. Obviously, the sarcophagus being ajar, that's the first thing.
I assume by rushing you
check
mean
when we
you
see
just
it.
float slightly quicker towards me.
Okay.
You should see my feet though; they're really going.
Between the two of you, half the lift off, and there's a squawk of alarm. Within, there is indeed a mallard. He's dressed in the duck equivalent of Cassandra would be, perhaps, with leathers, dark colours, a cowled cloak, that kind of thing, small daggers created about various parts of his body. The stench becomes quite pronounced once you've lifted the lid properly. And yeah, he's definitely in a bad way. His eyes are wide and darting about, and he kind of like tries to make himself as small as possible in one corner of the sarcophagus, and he's holding up this hammer that presumably belonged to a dwarf 700 years ago, and holding it as if it's some kind of blade to ward you off.
Just be calm. Be calm, brethren. We are not going to kill you yet.
I put my hand on Makana's shoulder and said, "That's a little far, do you not think, for this poor bedraggled creature?
What have you seen?
It's,
Another mallard."
Another mallard. A tomb robber, I dare say.
I mean, his motivations aside, maybe he knows something about this place.
You better explain yourself, fellow in the sarcophagus, before my friends here lose their patience. Friend or foe?
Seems insensible to me.
Foul or fair?
As you've called tomb robber and stuff like that, he throws down the hammer and holds up his feathery paws.
What made you desperate enough to pile corpses against a door to deny entry?
Oh, that's... Open your mouths, let me see them. He gazes at each of your maws.
That was not
Why
the
are we
answer I
doing
was
this, my friend?
expecting.
And he watches intently as you all speak one after the other. Says, oh, there's nothing. They've not got in you yet. They try and get inside you.
What does?
They come from the portal. Oh, what foul magic was weaved here.
What?
Now,
Deeper in this dungeon?
Why, in the main chamber over to the north, there was someone here. We trailed her here. Eloise, the magician. She pays well, and wherever she goes, she always finds treasures, but she only cares about mystical ones. There's always good gold to be had if you follow her in a wake. Oh, what fools we were to follow to this place. What weird, evil, eldritch magic did she weave? Now everyone's dead, everyone but me.
I was going to ask what had happened to your companions. You say we. What's happened to them? Where are they?
Dead all. Some squashed and crushed so the juices could be consumed. Others eaten from the insides out.
By sort of crustacean-y kind of creatures, like crabby-like things? Are these what you talk of?
Oh yes, that and others.
And others?
You'll see. I saw them, my companions, some of them, stuffed with creatures such as those, wearing them like some skin puppet. At first I thought it wasn't just me that survived, but then the octopus-like beak poked from beneath their rubbery lips. Oh, sickening and frightening was the sight.
Makanda steals a suspicious, careful glance at Baston's belly, given the number of those things that he ate back in the village, and then says, now look here. As it happens, we're here to deal with this very problem. Some sorcerer this Eloise can be. She's ignored a priceless dwarven library of slate, not even taken the most valuable things in this tomb. Isn't that right, Erdan?
It is. She chose base power over knowledge.
Clearly foolish. We're here to put paid with us. Now, are you here to join us? We could use some help shifting these slabs of slate out after we've successfully dealt with this sorcerer.
He also looks suspiciously at the Bloodjaw's belly as it rumbles ominously. Can you make whoever it is who wishes to get him to join make a persuasion roll to see if you can convince him to come with you?
I certainly can.
Me.
Now look here. I'm going to push that. I think I'm not going to get angry, because I only get angry in combat, but I am disheartened to see one of my kind, my noble feathered kind, brought so low, and to be so cowardly as to not want to follow one of the half-bay mallards into battle, which would be a great honor, even if he does probably die in that fight. And that'll be enough to persuade him, apparently.
Yeah, his fears governing him, and then he just sees how crestfallen you are. Another bird joke. And this inspires him, and he brushes himself off as best he can. But says, "Quite well, I didn't think I'd ever get out of here, but I did hope someone would come. Hoped against hope, and who was I to believe that it'd be one of the half-bay mallards that would come to my rescue? Of course, I should have had more faith. Let us find a way out of here. If you got in, we can get out. That's for sure."
I mean, we're not just, to be clear, we're not just getting out of here. We're going to kill this sorcerer first. Then we'll get out of here.
See a visible gulp.
Yeah. Don't I'll slap him on the back.
Yeah. So it'll be fine. He says, and he re-picks up the hammer.
That might come in handy. Yeah.
Well, in game terms, there are several treasure cards worth of treasure to be had here that we'll, as we're not doing a campaign, not worry about. But we'll assume that you've eyed up some. As you look around the room, little price tags appear over things as you work out what it might be worth.
Unless they're things that are going to be useful in the immediate future to us.
Yeah.
I think we'll
You'll leave it as is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baston's rubbing himself against stuff to scent mark the bits that he wants.
Lovely.
And you can push to the north.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Eloise, huh? Have you heard of Eloise, Aodan?
There are many Eloises.
Yeah, it's a common sorcerer name, isn't it?
I would need to lay eyes on her to see if I have seen her black heart before.
Maybe she went to the same academy as you.
If you want to make your roll to see if you have your myths and legends, I'll let you just do that.
That is a pass. It could be.
Well, you've heard of a woman such as this that goes around, a sorcerer, who is trying to find her demonic master, who is banished to another realm, and she's trying to open the door to bring him back into the land.
I should note, we of the university disapprove of her actions. Demonic doors should remain firmly closed.
Wise.
And as you pass through, there's one final door, you think, to what must be the main chamber ahead of you, and to your right, heading east and curving round, is a part of a curved corridor that disappears off into the darkness. An alcove to one side does hold a statue of a guardian, perhaps something like that, a dwarf that seems more doughty, well plated, a battle axe in hands. And you recall bits you've read in the library and from the frescoes and bits of tapestry and things you've seen. You're aware that whoever this dwarf was who is entombed here, he had a pair of twins who guided him in martial ways throughout, and perhaps this is one of those. But you don't have time now to worry about such things. Well, maybe Aodan wishes to, but everybody else wants to get on with it. So as he's trying to read the inscription, you get dragged sort of on.
It's all ancient history, Aodan. Another time.
Yeah. Aodan doesn't resist. He's not staying on his own here in this dangerous place.
Maybe up this corridor a little bit first before we enter into the main room. Maybe we can get an advantage point. See what's going on before we enter.
Why don't you try that trick you did before, Baston? Get your wolf ear against that stone door just ahead of us. See if there's any commotion behind it. And you're right. I think we should sneak around, see if we can flank whatever beast lies beyond.
Yeah, Baston takes that under advisement. He puts his ear to the door, gives it a good sniff.
Giving nothing away at all, I'm going to say make an awareness roll this time. Apropos of nothing.
I could push that, but I've got 5, so I'm not going to.
No, you definitely get like louder sounds of the sea.
Yeah.
As you were getting before, but you can feel the door almost vibrating in your ear, even though it's a big solid stone carved slab.
Yeah. Nothing. I'm afraid. Should we skirt around the corner, see what we can find?
Scout around, yes.
Yeah, that's easy to do. Maybe more difficult for me to do a polygon reveal in Roll20, but we'll see how that goes.
Good luck with the fog of war, guys.
Yeah, good luck with this. Let's see how I go. Okay,
maybe missing out. Roll20 challenge.
Not bad.
Maybe that works.
That's good.
Yeah,
solid Roll20 work there.
Nice.
If only the audience could see it.
I'll do a Patreon extra I'll replay.
That is absolutely solid bit of curvature there.
It's like watching Rodin carve sculptures.
Yeah.
So
it's
what
like the drizzle of skirmishes than the fog of war.
So if you imagine a quarter circle corridor that comes up, and on the other side of it, you can see the twin statue, which looks very similar to the one that you've already encountered of a guardian. You think, Because he's a twin who has very similar clothes, armor, and weaponry, and such like that. And there's a pair of doors, one which heads, you think, back towards the entrance you came in that direction, another into this room that awaits you.
Well, shall we? Or maybe 2 from each door?
Gentlemen, shall we indeed? Yeah, 2 from each door sounds like fun. 1 torchbearer at each door and 1 support act. What do you think?
Me and Aodan will take this door. You can
The
Yeah.
element of surprise.
Excellent. Come on
We'll
then, Baston. You and I.
charge through in 50
Excellent.
heartbeats.
Remember, I do not normally approve of this, but ensure you target the wizard first. The most dangerous she is.
Yeah, let's hope they're not using the same tactics, Mr. 4 hit points.
Mallard, you shall
Point
stay
you
with me.
speak of.
The chap we've got with us with the hammer, who I don't believe tells us his name.
He didn't.
And-
It's
and
called
I-
Drake.
Fine Mallard name. I shall say,
Oh.
you shall have the honour of fighting by my side, Drake. When he says the wizard, it means the other wizard. Your job is to keep our wizard alive. And also my job. And
He looks
Baston's job
doubtful.
as well. Crisano has other stuff, but most of us, we need to keep Aodan alive. As you stand there wheezing properly, Shane. Blood's dripping from you.
Okay.
I am fatigued.
After the aforementioned 50 heartbeats, there's a kind of syncopated door opening as you're not quite in sync, but
Yeah.
you burst in. What you see is a circular room, a large chamber, maybe, I don't know, 100 feet across, let's say, for the sake of argument. There's a raised platform on 2 of the sides. There's alcoves. There's a little font in one corner. There's 4 pillars holding the roof. And then what would look like, if you imagine a pool of water with a low stone wall around it, but flipped up 90 degrees. So as you step in, you can see this pool of water, which looks Escher style, like it should be flat, but it's straight up looking at you. And there's the ripple of seawater across it and little surfs of waves.
Like a Stargate kind of ripple, kind of circle thing.
Yeah, a bit like that. It's like you're looking at, if you're in a drone looking above the sea straight down,
Sure.
you can see the waves and stuff, but they're sideways on.
Cool.
And water's leaking out the bottom of this and filling the level in the room, and you imagine everywhere else that's on a similar level within the Dwarven structure. There's various bits of odds and ends floating around. Some books, as in real books, there's a few bodies bobbing around, bits of clothes, detritus, some candelabras and other things that have been knocked sideways. The water level is dark and murky and makes it difficult to see things, but you can definitely see there's lots of bits and pieces around in the water and under it. But there's no sign of any sorcerer or magician or anybody else for that matter. And Drake just looks in the direction of this portal with fear in his eyes. Says, "Oh, she's gone. She must be gone. This is good for us. We should leave. We should flee." And he starts edging in the way.
No. Let's make properly sure.
I believe we should attempt to dissipate this portal somehow. Aodan, any ideas?
It will take me time. I must study the area and study the portal. And I will attempt to do so, noting I'm sure that things may happen to us in the meantime.
I wonder if she hasn't retreated through that portal to speak to her fell masters, and she'll be back from her appointment at any time.
Then
Even better to collapse
closing
it
the
and trap her
portal.
on the other side.
Wise, Baston, wise.
Well, Aodan, with your wisdom, hopefully you can find some way to disable or dismantle this portal.
I pray it is so. And I'll start to kind of examine it and look to see if any of the books are about portals, that kind of thing, what everybody else does, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, everybody else has a bit of a route around, trying to see if there's anybody hiding behind a pillar or something like that. All that.
Yeah, go on, Drake. Have a gander.
Oh.
And as you're all into the room and engaged, there's a tsunami-like wave suddenly burst out from the room, from the portal, which blasts you all off your feet, and you all fall prone in the water, coughing and spluttering. And tentacle-like arms reach out and slam the door shut to the room, trapping you in as more water starts to flood heavily in, and the water level starts to rise as these tenebrous arms whip back, and you can see now dark shapes in the water portal. I'm going to give you all some cards, and then we'll see what you all want to do individually.
Cool.
So, come here. Makanda's on a 3. Baston's on a 4. There's a problem with Roll20s. No, there we are. Got it. Then it's going to be little halflings on a 5. This seems suspiciously Roll20 like with the cards going
quite sequential.
Yeah, then an 8 for Aodan. And then I'm going to get 3 cards for me. It's going to be 1, 9, and 7 due to the ferocity of the portal thing. So I get to go first with a 1. So I'm going to roll my magic d6 again, and we'll see what happens. 2. Okay. One of you selected at random, so there's actually 5 of you in the room, aren't there?
Yeah.
Because you've happily brought along an NPC to help you out. So we'll go in the order that 1 is Makanda, 2 Baston, 3 Kasana, 4 Aodan, 5 will be Drake. Yep. And a 2 is Baston.
Baston is Baston.
Another of these tentacles whips out, grabs you round the throat, and pulls you partially into the portal. So you find yourself like clinging to the stonework on the side. So most of your body's outside, but your head's now underwater in a black, inky ocean.
Okay.
Can you make a constitution roll for me, please?
Sure. Pass.
Okay, good news for you. You're not currently drowning. You managed to hold your breath as your head's plunged in. Then, Makanda, you get to act.
Well, it's Baston being held underwater. That instantly enrages me. And I charge in to slice at one of these tentacles with a boon to my attack roll. Due to me being angry now. That'll do. Yeah, 7 damage.
7 damage. Okay. You slash at one of these rubbery arms. Maybe even hack most of the way through it, and black ichor squirts out and down you. But you can see already bubbling under the water. There's many more thrashing about. Then Baston, you get to act. You can try and roll strength if you want to break free.
I was going to ask to keep that numbered card with my veteran ability, if you can give me it back, if that's possible.
Well, I'll just remember that you've got it if you want.
Cool. So I'll use that. So I'll chuck that up there. So that's what veteran does. That costs me 2 willpower. I meant to do it at the start of next round, but it seems easier to do it now. Okay, so so I'm sort of clinging onto the side of this board. So I like wrench my head back out of the water, take a deep breath, and then see wherever the nearest tentacle is. I just like sort of jump, like sort of push myself off the portal and like stab the tentacle that's grabbed me.
So to be clear, that would require 2 actions because your first one's going to be to actually wrench your head out. So you need to you're basically grappled for in effect. So you need to make a strength roll to break free.
Danny. Cool. I'll do that then. Oop. Pass.
Okay.
Yes.
You slip your head out.
Yeah.
And then you prepare to strike it next round on the same card, if possible. Excellent. So Cassandra, seeing this, what do you do?
Well, now Baston's engaged with this beast, I wonder if I can dart forward from the shadows, and is it possible to backstab this beast? Now, by the rules as written, it's just got to be a melee attack against enemy that's also within 2 meters under the PC. Can I do a sneak attack, do you think?
I think you can.
Yay! So that's going to give me a boon to the dice roll, and the damage is going to go up as well. So let me just reset my boon. 1. Cool. And let's pounce from the darkness. Oh, that's a hit. And the damage, I wonder if it's counted it. If I hover over it, it must have done, because there's no way I'm getting 14 off a normal D8. Sorry, or an 8. Well, I may have got an 8 off a D8.
So it's D8 plus D6.
You've got a 5 and a 3, yeah, another D8 and a D6.
Oh, so I do owe you another D8. You'll be pleased to hear.
I'm delighted.
Yeah, right. So I just got to rearrange a few windows in order to roll a dice. Shouldn't be that hard, but there we go.
That extra 1 damage was definitely worth it.
Well, yeah. Okay, there you go.
It all counts, right? It all counts.
Yeah, 9 damage, cost me 3 willpower. Don't worry, Baston, I've got your back.
You've
Much
slid
appreciated.
slid down one tentacle like you're gutting an eel or something. But perhaps a little disheartened to see there's many more where that came from. And in fact, it is my monster's go. And when Roll20 allows me, I will roll a d6 to see what he does. I get a 1. Okay, so there is an area effect as a whole plethora, myriad of tentacles burst out and start thrashing wildly around the room. So everybody can take 4 damage.
Oh, dear.
So if you haven't acted yet and you wanted to try and evade it, you could do that, which will use your action.
I shall definitely do so.
The
Otherwise,
good news is you
be...
get your armor as well if you have any. So
just the armor just reduces the damage by that amount. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I'll just take it then.
I shall attempt to evade to avoid dying. And I shall succeed.
Yes, that was a death roll, wasn't it?
Well, I would have run out of hit points.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm glad
Yeah,
I've succeeded.
Save or die.
We can look at death rolls a little later on. I'm sure they'll be on their way.
I'm sure we'll get to those. Yeah.
I'm on the cusp.
Okay. Well, with that out of the way, it is in fact your turn to do something, Adam. What was you planning to do?
Nothing, because I've evaded.
Of course. Yeah. Good. What I will give you as a free action, though, is seeing a book on portals float past your eyes as you splash into the water.
Excellent.
One of those stone ones.
As soon as I can, I'll grab it.
Yeah. And then bad news for the home team is that it's my monster again, which will get more thrashing limbs.
Uh-oh.
So this is for everybody again, and it's going to be 6 damage this time.
Oh,
Can I do this?
Yes, if you want, I'll let you do that.
Blow as well.
If you want to take double blows, so that you can save Aidan, for example, you could do that.
I'll just take the 4 for now.
Or you're going to make me take double, so it doesn't just all bounce off my arm, aren't you? That's what you're going to do. I know how this works. Yes, I will do that. I will take the damage that Aidan would have done to try and save him.
the doughty halfling slides away from the tentacles into the water, unconscious.
Oh dear.
If we do get to see about death rolls after all, yay, everybody at home is cheering. Let's see the full set of rules. Okay, so a new round, let's
I remember I'm on a 4 this round.
Yep. Let's shuffle the deck as well, just to be sure. Yep.
4 seemed like a good one to lock in.
Then so Makanda, you're going to be no. Oh, there's the 4 there, so we'll give that to Baston. There we go.
Brill.
Makanda, you're on an 8. We don't care about. Oh, Christina, we do care about because you got to make some death saves, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, 1. There we go.
I'll be doing
to go first with that, so that's all right. Down to the 10. Oh dear. I'm looking forward to this TPK. It's been a while coming, and then let's get some cards out for the tentacle monster.
Oof.
A 3, a 6, and a 7.
4 was still an okay one to lock in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then. So, Cassandra, you get to make the first of your death saves.
Fail.
Oh dear. Well, at
Right,
least
one.
it was very nearly a demon, but you missed
Yeah.
that at least.
Yeah.
If he's falling out. Then the monster gets to do something else. Do you know what? I'm going to make an executive decision to not thrash and hit everybody at the same time, because that's just dull. The whole point of this table is that you can do different things in different rounds. So a 3, there you go. That's a different result. Let's see what that is. A cone of ink squirts out as you see this beak-like maw suddenly appear for filling up the thing, and then there's a splatter of fishy oil, stinking black oil burst out. Who's it gonna hit? That's the question. Do you know what? I'll keep the same D5 that I did last time. I'll assume only one of you gets it. So, yeah, having gone down, Cassandra, you can see that the other mallard drakes come running over to help you. When all of a sudden this hideous black oil hits him in the face.
Oh no!
And he's thrashing around the water, going, "I'm blind! I'm blind! My beautiful eyes!" And clawing at his face, trying to get this stinking fish oil out of them. At least it wasn't you. That's the main thing.
Should have ducked.
Yay. Then Baston, you get to do something.
Well, thankfully, the giant spurt of fish oil coming out of this thing lets me see its face, and I stab it extremely hard in its face. So I'm going to shoot my long spear right into that maw that is pushing out all that liquid. Well, that's the plan, anyway. I do.
That's a 1. That's excellent news.
I don't know what that does on attack, but I think it's pretty good.
That's a dragon.
Yeah, I know.
Which is kind of like a critical in this game.
18 damage as well.
I mean, you can't really argue with that, can you?
Yeah. Right in the beak.
Yeah, let's just check.
I've got it open here, Gaz, if you want me to quickly.
Yeah, if you could, please.
So, yeah, we're looking here at page 45. Critical hit, you can either roll the double amount of dice, or you can immediately perform a second attack against another enemy, stress another, or you can ignore armor.
Oh, the dice.
Do you want to roll more dice or ignore armor?
I think roll more dice seems like the thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's excited by more dice.
So I just roll my damage dice
2d8
again?
plus d6 in there, haven't you?
Mm.
Yeah, so my damage dice are 2d8 and 2d6. I'll just roll that manually and roll 20. If I remember how to do that.
So there's another 2d8, isn't it? And another 1d6, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I get a d6 bonus damage. I think this should work. Yeah, cool. There you go. Oh. Yes!
Oh, okay then. Well, your long spear goes deep inside its open beaky mouth. I'd hit something soft and squishy on the inside.
Just drive it in there.
And there's a horrible, like, half gurgling, half screeching sound. And when you wrench it back out with more spew of black ichor, the thing pushes itself back away from the portal as fast as it can go and disappears into the deep, leaving blackened streaks behind it. So the portal now is just like a black inky mess with a sort of reddish afterglow to it.
Yeah, Baston's covered in this stuff and like sort of licks his lips slightly around it, see if it tastes good.
It does not
spits
taste
out.
good. For the avoidance of doubt, it tastes horrible.
Hey Dan, the portal, as I waddle over to Chrisana to try.
I'm going to grab the book and start looking for some words of power or other incantation to close this portal to goodness knows whence.
It sounds.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Sounds a great idea. You're going to have to make a roll for me, though.
What kind of roll?
I think this is going to come down to your languages.
Okay.
Because the thing that's going to help you actually is having looked through the Dwarven slates beforehand.
That's a fail. So I am going to push myself. And I am, quite frankly, exhausted from this whole affair.
Reasonable.
but I slump down and just lean closer into the pages of the book, carefully flipping as they're waterlogged, barely keeping my eyes from closing. But that is a pass with the push.
Excellent. And you speak the words, which sounds strange in your own ears, let alone everybody else's, as they hear some quite unusual sounds coming from you. But thankfully, the portal closes, and with that, the set of bricks that were in a ring, the stones just collapse into a pile of rubble on the floor, and the water level stays as it is. It stops rising.
Baston sets about throwing the bricks around, like spreading them out, making sure they're not near each other.
I will try and prevent Chrisana from dying.
You can definitely try and rally her if you wish to.
Although that may be a healing check. That's what you were saying, isn't it? Which is not my forte, but I'll give it a go.
Please do.
Fortunately, I'm angry, so I'm not as...
Persuade you to rally.
I mean, I'm better at persuading people, to be honest.
That's cool.
I mean, that means you can act, but you still have to make death saves, unfortunately. So someone's going
That's
to have
kind
to
of cool.
train.
I like that. That's all right.
I'll try and heal you instead. And then
It
someone
allows you
might
to
just
pick
step in.
yourself up and get out of the water so you don't drown, which is a good thing.
I can always carry her.
Yeah, I'll do that then. I'll rally you. Keep going.
Pull me out of the water. Blood! I sort of squirt water everywhere, shake it out of my ears and stuff. Oh, what's going on? What's going on?
I presume it's supposed to be healing rather than another persuasion roll, was it, Mikander? Or...
Let's start.
And I was trying to rally you first in the hopes that
right, okay.
Chrisana might be better at healing than me. Once
We're still taking saves, right?
I'm
Once
rubbish at
Aidan's-
healing.
once Aidan's finished with the portal, he can heal you.
Yeah, I'm rather good, but I'm there like doing the Excalibur
so-
charm of making.
Yeah, because
Internal bleeding.
you need to make another death save first before
Yeah.
anything hits you. Because you might roll a demon. If you do, then you take two misses. and
Correct.
That would
Which
mean
is
death.
rather upsetting.
So let's see if you die before I do. You tried quite hard to die, to be honest. If that had been a 20, that would have been, yeah.
Well, that's 2 failures. Internal bleeding. Oh, Archmaster. Just the guy.
Hold still. I have bandages. I have poultices. I have this strange smelling substance that Nana used to use.
Leave me. Close the portal.
It's closed.
Oh, save me.
Don't leave me here to die.
There, child. There.
I'll help get Chrisana up on the dry bit of the room at least.
Yeah.
I'm wobbling, but I'm okay.
Drake has got sufficient seawater in his face now that he realizes he's not blind after all and has stopped crying out how blind he is.
So you get 5 hit points back, because
Oh, thank you. I just realised you can try and rally yourself, rolling against your will. Oh, that's a thing. Okay.
Nice.
Try and gird your loins.
yes.
Cool. So, is there anyone who hasn't taken a stretch rest so far?
No, I think we've all taken one.
You've already well used those. Okay.
Maybe Drake.
Yeah.
Drake has to stretch, yes, yeah.
Yeah, he'll do that actually. Yeah. Well, for him. Okay, well, the portal is definitely closed. You search around in the other little alcove at the back and find another X number of treasure cards, which if we cared about such things, we would now determine how much money or items you got. But for now, go in the bag to be used later, perhaps by a different adventuring party. And it just really requires you to exit, I think. There are 1 or 2 rooms that you didn't go through. You can try on the way back, or you can take the safe route and go around a well-travelled path to make sure you don't encounter anything weird.
I think, given how beaten up we are, maybe the safer route back.
Trail of blood in the water as we hobble back.
Baston's like sniffing the end of his spear, like trying to clean it off as much as possible from the dew that's on it.
Yeah, safe
Excellent
route.
stuff. Yeah, so your motley array in some states with bags of treasure or other items start to make your way back. You pass through the room with the slate library and wonder perhaps how you're going to bring that back. That might be one for a later trip, perhaps with wagons or other things.
Dan, would the university maybe just pay for the information to where this is?
I think they would.
Then they can come and sort that out.
Wise. It's heavy.
Yes.
Maybe you take one or two choice items that you can read on the way back.
A few little notes.
Yeah, I can take a couple.
Maybe some pamphlets made out of gravel.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, with that done, you can make your way back down into the village itself and find Olga, who's tentatively looking out and delighted to see you. And you can then regale with some nice brandies and other things and tell her of your adventures and what occurred. There was no sign, of course, of the wizard, mage, sorcerer, or whatever she is who caused all this trouble. And who knows if she was on the other side of that portal or will come back again to haunt you at some later date.
It's
But
bloody
for now-
Olga, isn't it?
It is. It's got to be.
We all draw our weapons.
you see her putting a book away as you turn up and just putting it under a sheet of paper.
A shadow that looks like a bat.
So I think there, given our fast-paced, vim vigor type of adventuring, we should not linger too long. But let's have a little vignette for each character of what happens to you afterwards. This can be in the immediate aftermath. It can be a year later. It can be whenever you like. But let's have a look at what happens. Maybe that library does make its way to the library. Maybe there's another encounter with Eloise. Maybe there's something else that happens. Let's do the same order as last time. So we'll start with Mikanda, move on to Baston, then the halfling, and finish with Aedan the mage, if you please. So let's start with Mikanda, please.
This is a couple of days later. We see Mikanda and Drake. Drake is now in sort of boiled leather armor. And has a cheap notched sword in his hand and a wooden shield painted with a rough likeness of the crest that's on Mikanda's. And they are sparring around a campfire. And he manages to, Mikanda pins him and gets his sword against it. It's useless. If you're going to be a squire, Drake, you need to learn. Keep your defenses up. And as I said before, don't overcook the scallops. They were ruined.
Yeah, very good. Drake looks suitably abashed and yet secretly pleased that he's got his electric eel-proof armor and kit, which is his one little bit of solace that he has. What do we see of Baston?
It's maybe about a month later. Baston has made a sort of home in this village for himself. He's like cooking regularly at the pub, and he's helping sort of rebuild a little bit. When the university arrived to look at the library, he sort of like leads them up there and acts as guide as well. And he's just waiting for that moment to like go back out again and sample all the delicacies the world has to offer.
Lovely stuff. How about our little halfling, Kasana?
Well, that's only about an hour later. So we've been celebrating and commiserating in equal measure in the pub with Olga. And when I get a quiet moment to myself, I take out my my stylus and my oilskin watertight scroll case, flip out a bit of parchment paper and try and as best I can from memory to sketch out the dimensions of the Dwarven tomb. And I realise as I'm about halfway through the task that I've been sketching on the back of a treasure map that I'd already found and brought with me on my adventures, a memento from back in the city. And if I hold them up to the light, it seems that this Dwarven tomb matches exactly just 1/4 of my treasure map. There are other secret levels below with greater treasures still to be found.
Beautiful stuff. Maybe we will visit that in future UGM episodes. Who knows? Last but not least, we have Aedan, our mage.
This is some indeterminate time in the future. Aedan still looks old, so it could be any time from tomorrow to years from now. But after the library was recovered and brought back under Baston's guard, it turned out to be a hitherto undiscovered repository of Dwarven rune magic. And Aedan finally got that which he has wanted for years, to be celebrated by the Arch-Chancellor of the university, who invited him that night for a private dinner to congratulate him. It's all going very well, Aedan being charming and knowledgeable, until the food is put on the table the servant takes the cover off, and it's a crab. And Aodan just pales and shrieks and runs.
Wonderful stuff. And with that, we'll end our tale. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. That quick run through Dragonbane. As you can see, quite a decent old school D&D style game. We made that one quite rules heavy to go through the mechanics to show you how it works. Obviously, you can put as much or as little role playing as you want to if you wish to do things. And there's a bunch of other stuff in there as well. So if you'd like to see more of this game, do let us know, or other similar styles games. Let us know in the comments below. If you've played Dragonbane and have your own thoughts about it, what the strengths and weaknesses are, do tell us. You know we'd like to hear from you, and it helps the channel out with engagement. So please do remember to like, subscribe, check out all our other stuff on UGMs. We've also got the Burn After Running blog. We've got the What Would the Smart Party Do podcast. We've got the Giant Brain stuff. All kinds of gaming content for you to engage with and support. So until next time, dear viewers, bye for now.